Hey, Red Earth team, what's happening? Happy Tuesday. Matt Ham here for our weekly call. Hope you'll join us. Going to be right to the point today, real short video, kind of on the heels of Super Bowl this weekend. I don't know if you got a chance to watch it, but Tom Brady, Tampa Bay Buccaneers won, pretty much demolished the Kansas City Chiefs, which I don't think anybody expected. The Chiefs were favored, and Tampa Bay won big. But I wanted to talk about Tom Brady. There's people who might not like Tom Brady. In fact, I've got buddies that hate him. Just it's the nature of when somebody's super successful, you've got love and you've got hate. Tom Brady is no arguing, though, that the dude is the most successful quarterback that has ever played the game. Guy's got 7 Super Bowl rings now in 10 appearances in 21 years in the league. That means 1/3 of the years that he's played the game, he's won the Super Bowl. It's crazy. I mean, there's nothing that's even comparable to it. When you look at domination and excellence in sport, Tom Brady at quarterback is the peak. But what's curious about it, and what I want to talk to you guys about today, is the characteristics that make him excellent, whether you love him or hate him, are not the ones you would think. Tom Brady is not the fastest dude on the field. He generally does not play with the most talented people on his team, meaning he doesn't have a bunch of superstars around him. You look beyond that, he does not have the strongest arm in the league from a quarterback perspective, and he's not the highest paid dude. And so when you really break this down, this guy was drafted last, for goodness sakes. I mean, they joke about how slow he was in the combines when he was running, but yet 7 Super Bowl wins. So what has made Tom Brady excellent? And I want to focus in on a few qualities, and I want to relate them to you guys as your careers in this private amenitized community. You know, when you often think about what makes the most successful salespeople, there are intangible measuring devices that I think you need to focus on, and we're just going to use Tom Brady today as an example, and really dive in here. So the number one thing that, and I've done a bunch of research on Tom Brady, so I've just read up on him. The number one thing that they say about Tom Brady is he controls his emotions very well. He's very cool under pressure. In fact, he's probably the coolest under pressure that has ever played. I mean, he has a command of his emotions that he does not get too high. He does not get too low. It was interesting in the Super Bowl, he started getting into a jawing match with one of the guys on the Chiefs, and he went up after the game and apologized because it's just not his character. He has great demand and control over his emotions. You know, I think when you look at sales, it's a very emotionally engaged career, right? You're with people, you're making sales, you're getting told no, you know, you've got opportunities, they fall through. There's always this constant flux in the sales industry, and it's very difficult and it can be very emotional. But I think one of the things when you see long-term success and excellence in the real estate industry is people are, man, they got ice water in their veins. They know how to celebrate. They know how to bring emotion to the table, but the emotion does not rule the show. You know, contrast a guy like Tom Brady with your classic emotionally high-strung head cases. You know, these guys, they're not sustainable. Period. Tom Brady has made a sustainable career because he's emotionally stable. He can control his emotions well. I think there's a great lesson to be learned. So how well do you control your emotions, after a disappointment or even during the moment of hearing a client say yes, or you feel like you're moving in a good direction? You can get overeager. You can talk too much, right? There's a lot of lessons to be learned here about controlling your emotions. The second thing that makes Tom Brady excellent is his ability to adapt to the situation. You know, with a quarterback in football, if you don't know football that well, you have to read the defense and understand, are they playing a zone defense? Are they playing man-to-man? You know, what is their kind of blitz packages? You know, how are they rotating their linebackers? You know, are they dropping a safety? There's all kinds of things that are moving into on the field. And people don't realize this, but Tom Brady has an incredible ability to adapt to the the defense and how they're kind of playing. He also adapts to the environment, the atmosphere, the energy on the field, the energy in the stands. He's incredibly adaptive. And I think that what we've seen over the past year in real estate is that if you're not willing to adapt, you're not going to survive. We've had to adapt to a lot of different things in the past year. Doesn't mean that there aren't staples, things that are consistent, right? That need to be done. But the ability to adapt and get creative in a moment, man, I mean, there's nothing better and more resourceful when everybody else is trying to do the old thing to be able to adapt. I think Tom Brady has done that very, very well. The third thing that I think Tom Brady has done better than anybody is he's made those around him better. You look at it, I mean, when you think about his success at New England, he never really had a superstar running back on the team. He never really had a superstar wide receiver except for when they had Randy Moss for a season. But he made Wes Welker into a superstar, Julian Edelman into a superstar. Now, arguably this year, he probably had the most talented wide receivers that he's ever had, but he also knew how to make those around him better. Again, a lot of kind of like football was the long play, the long pass or whatever. Tom Brady became an expert at short crossing routes. He became an expert at finding gaps in the coverage, and he made these slot receivers, is what they're called. He made them some of the best in the game, and they really used that to their success as they began to win and win championships. And he carried it with him when he went to Tampa Bay. Now, he had some long down the field threats this year, but he just made everybody else around him better. And to that point, I was reading in an article about how he was involved in the recruiting process. He actually went after certain guys. Hey, we need to get this guy. This guy's going to fit the role here. And so he was very intuitive about seeing the need, getting someone who was good at that role, and then making them better. So how does this relate to real estate? Well, know your assets around you. From maybe a help with assistants, maybe builders, people in the community, former clients, your marketing team, the assets here at Red Earth. Utilize the assets that you've been given and make everybody else around you better. And know when and how to delegate and find people that can kind of fit those certain roles. And it's very, very overlooked and yet very, very powerful when true excellence makes everybody else around you better. And not just the people that you might utilize in order to kind of get your sales closed and, be a part of your former clients, etc., but make the other salespeople around you better. The rising tide floats all boats, right? So be the rising tide that makes everybody else better because you are simply excellent. The fourth thing that Tom Brady did really well that I think we can learn from is he was fiercely dedicated to his craft. From working on his footwork to working on, his arm, his accuracy, reading and watching film, coming in and meeting with other players and talking through things. I actually read something in this offseason. It was a funny thing that happened. Tom Brady was going over to the coach's house in the preseason to work on some off-season stuff, and he walked in the wrong house. He walked in the neighbor's house, and this guy told this story. The news media picked it up. He's like, I'm sitting at my kitchen table, and Tom Brady walks in my living room and realized he was in the wrong house. The door was unlocked, and he just mistaken. So it'd be a pretty interesting experience. But he's fiercely dedicated to the craft. He was going over to the coach's house to work on stuff in the offseason. How dedicated are you to excellence in the real estate industry? How dedicated are you to working on your front-end presentation? How dedicated are you at being creative on your follow-up? How dedicated are you to the knowledge of the product? How dedicated are you about working on your phone skills? How dedicated are you to working on your follow-up skills? How dedicated are you to developing relationships with your former clients and letting them be assets for you? You have to be fiercely dedicated to every aspect of this career in order to be excellent if you want to have that level of success. Tom Brady's a great example there. And then last but not least, Tom Brady believes he's going to win, period. End of story. He believes he's going to win. He doesn't go, oh, guys, we're down 3 scores and it's late in the game. I just go ahead and toss this one up. The dude believes he's going to win. And that says everything about why I feel like I'm here. Part of what we talk about is faith in business. And it's not about religious faith. It's believing. It's faith, having faith that you are going to win, that you're going to move forward, that you're going to persist, that you're going to get back up when you get knocked down, that you're going to continue. Tom Brady believes he's going to win. And, this isn't a manifest it in your mind and create it kind of thing, but at the same time it is. You have to wake up every day, and when you get in front of the person, you got to say, I am the very best at what I do. I've put in the work, and I believe that I'm going to win in this environment. I believe that I'm going to be successful. And you have to get the negative thoughts, the negative emotions, all the stuff that weighs you down out of your head. And so those who I think are willing to get beyond some of the traditional metrics of success, like we said, Tom Brady was not the fastest, didn't have the best arm, wasn't the highest paid, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He had a very intangible approach to his excellence. Back to review. Number 1, he controlled his emotions incredibly well. Number 2, he was willing to adapt to the environment around him and pivot as he moved forward. Number 3, he made everyone else around him better. Number 4, he was fiercely dedicated to his craft and to the excellence that he put out. And then lastly, he believed he was going to win. So use Tom Brady as an example. 7 Super Bowl wins. Do the intangible things, and use this as an opportunity to check yourself in the mirror and say, how well do I do those things? And then focus on some of those intangibles. We can put some processes in play. I can help with that if you want to. And let's just get better and go out there and be excellent, because that's why we are here. Thank you guys so much for taking a moment. Y'all have a great day.